Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie. Today we are continuing with the A to Z makeup series. It's September when I'm filming this and we only managed to get to D. Yeah, this year didn't really go super to plan, but we are continuing nonetheless. As with the previous videos I've done, I will have two parts to this video. I've got enough for basically two full faces, but there are a couple products I will have to repeat. So I'm just going to go through the list of brands that I found that began with D. Again, there is definitely more than this, so feel free to leave any in the comments below. I did recently find this website that has like a list of like indie makeup brands, and it's in alphabetical order, and that has been a lifesaver, so that's going to be helpful for the rest of this series, which is probably going to go on for like another 2 years now at this point. But yeah, here's my list. Dior, obviously, Doll Beauty, Douce, or Douce, I've never known how to pronounce that brand, Dermacol, Delia, Dose of Colours, Diego Della Palma, Delia, Dollface, Dermacolor. That's all I've got listed here, but there definitely is more than that. I think there were even a couple of brands I saw, but I just wasn't interested in, and as a result couldn't be bothered to write them down apparently. I've got quite a few bits from Dermacol, which is a brand that I think is most famous for that very viral, very super full coverage foundation, the one in the gold tube. Like, I feel like that's what most people think of when they think of that brand, but they have shit ton of makeup, like other makeup. They have loads, so I picked up a load of stuff. I've got a couple Diego Della Palma stuff, which I'm quite excited to try because I've never tried any of that before. Some stuff from Delia, which is a very affordable, quite cheap makeup brand, but they had some interesting bits. I also bought a few things from the brand called Dollface, which I think is a US brand because I could only find a US website, but they did sell some of their products on like a makeup, a website literally called makeup.uk. So I got like an eyeshadow palette and a cheek palette from them. And I do have a Dior foundation, but that's going to be in part 2. But I think those are the main brands I'm using. If there is anything else, I'll obviously mention it as we go through. But I feel like the brand I got the most from is probably Dermacol, actually. I got quite a lot of Dermacol stuff. Oh yeah, and I have got a concealer and a setting powder from the brand, not Dermacol, but Dermacolor, which is like it's a like sub-brand from Kryolan, which is like, I think they're known for like TV, film sort of makeup, I don't know, but it's like a sub-brand of that. I have like a concealer and a powder. Anyway, let's just get into this. I want to put some things on my face, as I always do. Concealer. I've got 2 concealers. I am going to have to use these in both videos because this is all I've got. And one is definitely like I can only use to brighten with, and the other one, to be fair, the other one kind of looks like a brightening shade as well, so I'm not quite sure I'm going to make that work, but I will. The first one I've got is from a brand called Delia. I got this off makeup.uk, I think, or did I get on Latino? One of those 2 websites. Everything's linked below, obviously. But this is their Perfect Matte Concealer, and this was like about like £2 or £3. It was really cheap. See, on the back it says www.delia.pl, so I'm guessing, does that mean it's like a Polish brand? That's what I want to say. I feel like there's a lot of Polish makeup brands as I've discovered throughout this series. This only came in like 2 shades, which isn't great, but this shade definitely is a super fair shade, which I thought would work to brighten. The other concealer I've got is from the Dermacolor brand, which, like I said, it's like, you can get it on the Kryolan website. I think I got mine off Sephora, actually. But yeah, this is their Camouflage Cream, and I kind of wish I'd gotten this in a darker shade, but again, it's kind of hard to tell online what shades are really going to be like. But this is in, I don't know, it's not written on here, but I'll obviously put a thing on the screen that will say what the shade is. But this also looks super pale because I was hoping to use this over blemishes and then this to brighten, but I don't even know if that's going to work now. But regardless, I want to try both of these out on my eye area because I really want to see what the coverage is like with both of these. So yeah, like I said, this Delia one was like about £2 or something, whereas this Dermacolor one I think was like, I think it was definitely over £10, so it's a bit more. It wasn't like expensive or anything, but well, I mean, it depends how you define expensive, I guess, but it wasn't like ridiculously pricey, but it was definitely pricier than this ridiculously cheap guy. Which one should I try first? I'm gonna try the Delia one out first on this eye. I'm just applying it to the under eye and the eyelid. Okay, the texture's a bit weird. Also, I feel like it comes out a bit darker than I thought. So maybe I'll use them the other way around. Yeah, it's got a really strange texture. It's like a bit stringy almost. Yeah, you know what, actually, I think this one would probably work better on blemishes. It is still, like, paler than my skin, but I feel like this is probably going to be darker than the Dermacolor one. So I'll use it the other way around. Alright, considering that is like £2, that is really not bad at all. That's covered, like, pretty decently. Okay, let me just get the eyes side by side. I was worried about the texture, but once it's blended, it seems fine. Like, it looks pretty smooth to me. But, yeah, it's covered pretty well. I wouldn't say it's ridiculously full coverage, but it has like definitely given quite a good amount of coverage. Like I can just slightly see like the blue under my eyes and a little bit of the veins coming through my eyelids, but other than that, like it has covered reasonably well. And yeah, the texture's alright actually once it's blended. I thought it was a bit weird for a second, but it looks alright. And I feel like I probably can get away with the shade over blemishes, so I will do the concealers the other way around. I'm going to just leave that on for a second, and I'm going to put some of the other one on the other eye, and then I'll wipe the concealer off the first eye so you can see it next to a bare eye. Okay, so I'm going to get a brush for this one because it's like in a little tub. And I'm going to dig some of that out and do it on this side. I mean, I know like Kryolan is like a sort of film TV brand, so I think the whole idea of it is it's meant to be really high coverage, but I guess we'll see. It looks really weird when it's unblended. It looks like I got a little sun on my eye. Yeah, this one's definitely lighter, so I will use this one to brighten once we've done foundation, because I definitely feel like this side's oxidizing a bit, but it is actually kind of matching my like overall skin color on that side. So yeah, I will definitely use it the other way around. Okay, so this one it's definitely a lot drier in texture and it requires a bit more work blending, but I don't know, do you think it's better coverage? I think it is slightly better coverage, and like obviously it's got more of a brightening effect. Yeah, I do think this one's better coverage wise, but I feel like this one's got a slightly nicer texture. This one's a little bit heavier as well, but I do feel like it is packing a bit more coverage. It still looks pretty good though, like I'm impressed with the coverage. I like it. Yeah, you can definitely see this one's way brighter than this one. Okay, so that's what the Dermacolor one looks like next to a bare eye. It's definitely got pretty good coverage, I would say. I'm gonna put that one on the other eyeball just to use as a eyeshadow base. And then we'll move on to eyeshadow. Okay, we've got a eye base. So moving on to eyeshadow itself. I was really tempted to buy a Dior eyeshadow palette, but I talked myself out of it because they're like 40 or 50 pounds, I think. But I was tempted. Instead, I've got two eyeshadow palettes from the brand Dollface, which, like I said earlier, I think it's a US brand. But they sold a couple products on the makeup.uk website. So the first thing I've got is, this is a 24 shade eyeshadow wardrobe. This one's called Doll Squad, and it comes in this packaging, and this is the colour story. It's quite like a cool toned, smoky sort of palette. It got a pretty even balance of mattes and shimmers, and it has a matte black, which is great. It doesn't have a matte white, but it has a lot of shimmery whites. And I have swatched some of the shades and they do look nice. I also really want to use this matte shade as like a nose contour because I feel like it would work really well. But yeah, I thought this looked like a pretty palette. I think it was about like £20 or something. So not super cheap, but not ridiculously expensive. And I did also get this 9 shade face and eye palette called Pretty Little Gems, which is a bit smaller. This is like an all shimmer palette. You've got this one here, which I think is meant as a highlighter, and then obviously you could use it on the eyes as well. And then we've got some lovely shimmers, which again I've swatched and they seem really nice too. I did also get 2 single eyeshadows. I got a Dermacol metal eyeshadow, I think they're called. This is the champagne shade, which is like a champagne colour, I guess you would say. Let me just give this a swatch because I don't really remember. It's got quite a chalky texture, this one. Like, it does look quite nice. Then I also got a single from Diego Della Palma. This is the Ombretto eyeshadow. It's the 118 Sparkling Beige shade, which again is a similar colour. I don't know, I just really like bright shimmers. But that looks like this. It's like a little magnetic one. Then I have got a magnetic palette that I could stick this in. Yeah, this one definitely has a nicer texture. That's what that one looks like. Again, I don't think, like, I feel like they're both similar in terms of pigmentation. I just like the texture of that one a little bit more. But I feel like both of them look quite faint, but I think that's just because they are such pale colours. So they might translate better on the eyes, but I guess we'll see. So I think I'm going to use the Pretty Little Gems palette in the second video, I think. I'll mainly focus on this guy today, and then I think I'll save the Diego Della Palma one for the second video as well. And I'm going to try and use this one today in the look somehow. I am just going to go off camera and do one look because, like I said, I'm just feeling a bit ill today and I'm quite slow and sluggish and I need to just go off camera and come up with something, but I'll be back and repeat it on the other eye. Okay, so we are back with this very adventurous, cool-toned, smoky look with a hint of pink and purple tones. I actually quite like it though. I think it's turned out quite nice. I'm pretty impressed with the quality of the eyeshadows. Like the mattes in particular, like they're really velvety, like the texture's so smooth and they like blend into each other like really seamlessly. I used two shimmers which were pretty nice too, and then I've used the Dermacol one in the centre. So let's do that all again, and it definitely isn't going to look symmetrical because it never does if you've watched any of my videos. Symmetry is not my strong point. Okay, so I started with this matte cool toned shade, which is the one that I want to try as a contour later, and that's going above the crease. Like the texture of these is just so soft and velvety, and they've got good pigmentation, and again because it's quite like a light pale shade, but it still shows up really well, which is pretty impressive. Okay, underneath that I'm using this matte purple shade. Thought it sort of complemented it well. And that's going underneath. Okay, and then I'm using this darker, sort of plummy, purple toned shade underneath that and into the outer third. Then I'm using the matte black in the corner here and adding that in the outer third. Okay, and then I'm using this white shade here, which I thought was a shimmer, but it actually comes out more matte, which is perfect because, as I always say, any palette with a matte black and a matte white kind of automatically is a winner in my book, because I feel like you just need them for like almost every look. I definitely need a matte white for like every look because I always use that under the brow bone, which is what I'm doing to sort of like diffuse out the shades. I feel like I need that with like pretty much every single eyeshadow look I do. Okay, we're going back to the Dermacolor concealer and we're doing a cut crease. This is where the symmetry part goes wrong for me because I can never get like the cut crease shape the same on each side. It always comes out like more pointed on one side and more rounder on the other. So now over that cut crease, I'm starting with this silvery white shimmer here. That's going in the inner corner. Then in the centre I'm using the Dermacol shade, which is like a sort of champagne-y, pale gold. Then I'm using this sort of pinky rose gold sort of shimmer in the outer third. And then I'm going back in with all the matte shades and blending. And once again, I am disappointed with how dissimilar they look on each side. I brought the cut crease up way too high on this side. Like, 'cause it's really frustrating when you do an eye really well, because I think this one looks really good. And then, I don't know what happened to it. But nonetheless, we shall move on. Overall, I do like this palette. I'm not like completely mesmerised, blown away by it. I think I prefer the mattes over the shimmers, to be honest. I just liked the texture of those mattes and the way they blended. As I feel like I obviously only used 2 shimmers and they were pretty, but they weren't like, wow, you know? And same with this Dermacol shadow, like it's pretty, but it's not wow, you know? But again, there are more shades in this palette and I probably will tap into some of these in the second video as well. But overall, it's a decent palette. I've not really got any strong complaints about it. I do have a eyeliner that I'm going to pop in the waterline. This is a Dermacol product. This is their Crystal Look 24-hour waterproof eyeliner. And I don't know what the shade name is because it's not written on here. It might be just shade 1. But it's sort of like a bronzy metallic colour. Quite a creamy texture and it seems quite pigmented. So I'm going to pop this in my top and bottom waterlines. I think that eyeliner looks pretty. Like, it's not like a super dramatic eyeliner, but it's just a nice little light metallic look, and I think it looks nice. I think it works with the eyeshadow too. For mascara, I've got a mascara from Delia. I'm just now realising that this has a sticker that says tester on it. What? I bought this online, so it doesn't look like it's a tester. I'm hoping that's just an error. Or maybe it was going to be a tester, but like it hadn't gotten that far, if that makes sense. I hope not. Anyway, so this is from Delia, and this is the Glamour Volume and Curl Up Mascara. To be fair, there's loads of mascaras to choose from Delia and Dermacol. There were a lot of mascara options. I honestly was a bit overwhelmed. I don't know what made me go for this one, to be honest, but I did. What the wand looks like. It's quite thick, but it doesn't look too bad. So I'm going to just go ahead and whack some of this on and see what it does. Again, it was all of the stuff from Delia was really cheap, so I'm not going to be too like upset if it isn't the best. Saying that, I've tried a lot of mascaras that are quite cheap that are still really good, so we'll see. Seems to be giving a lot of length, but not a lot of thickness or volume, which is a little bit disappointing, but like it's definitely adding a lot of length, which is something at least. Okay, so that's what the lashes look like, building up a few layers. Like as you can see, like it's definitely given a lot of length. So if the main thing you look for in a mascara is length, then this one's pretty good for that, but I just need a bit more drama and a bit more thickness for me. Like it's not bad, it's better than a lot of mascaras I've used. But I just want a little bit more drama, but it hasn't done a too bad job. I feel like it looks better on camera actually than it does in person, but not bad considering how cheap it was. And again, if length is your main concern, then it's pretty good. Not hating it. but it's like definitely not my perfect formula. Okay, so we're going to move on to our base now. I do have a primer. This is another Dermacol product. This is their Rose Energy Makeup Base Illuminating Primer, and it looks really sparkly. I kind of just wanted something a bit more hydrating because I've found that like my skin's just been a bit drier lately, and I don't know, I kind of quite like putting on a hydrating base before foundation. It's weird because I do sort of have a combination of oily skin, but then it does get a bit dry as well. My skin is just very temperamental. It's definitely got like a gel-like texture, and you can see the sparkles in it. I think this might be like a blurring one, just based on how it feels. Okay, yeah, the texture of that is like one of those sort of smoothing, like silicone. Is it silicone? I don't know. Which actually wasn't what I was expecting. I thought it was going to be more like a watery, like hydrating primer, which it feels hydrating, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't what I was expecting. I wouldn't say it's, like there's a little bit of sparkle, but I wouldn't say it's like illuminating. So I'm not really sure what to feel about that. Like, it's probably going to make my like foundation go on a bit smoother maybe, but kind of wasn't what I was expecting. So the foundation that we're going to be using today is a Dermacol product. This is the 24-hour control long-lasting makeup. They had quite a few foundations. Obviously, they're most famous for the gold little bottle high cover one, which I have tried like years ago. Honestly, don't remember what I thought of it. I think obviously the coverage was really good, but I think it didn't wear very well. That's my memory, but that was so long ago. But I thought I'd try a different foundation from them. Something that hopefully is going to be a bit more lightweight than that full cover one. I'm not sure what the shade is, but again, I will have put a little thing on the screen. Again, I don't think they had a particularly great shade selection. But I have swatched this and it does look like it should actually work quite well. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to need a mixer with that actually. I feel like that's pretty decent actually. Definitely feel like it's got warmer undertones. It has that sort of sunscreeny smell, like really similar to like, you know, like a L'Oreal Infallible, which is good because I love the L'Oreal Infallible foundations. If it's similar to that, then we're on to a winner. Yeah, I don't think I should need a mix of that, so I'm just going to go ahead and apply a load of this to the face. Hopefully it is similar to that L'Oreal because I don't have one on me currently and it's basically my favourite foundation. Okay, so this is what the foundation looks like. I feel like my lighting situation is a bit like overexposed maybe. I don't know. I need to play around with that. It's quite a lightweight foundation. I have sort of built up 2 layers, and the coverage does definitely build. I'd say it's like a solid like medium coverage foundation, which is fine. I like that. It does feel quite lightweight, reasonably hydrating, but the finish is definitely, I'd say it leans more matte, but it is sort of semi-matte. It's definitely not oily at all. Again, obviously I used that sort of primer that was quite smoothing, so I think that has made it look matter. I think it would be more semi-matte probably without the primer. But I think it looks nice. It feels and looks quite lightweight. It looks very smooth. The colour isn't too bad. I think it looks nice, and it is quite similar to the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear foundation, just as like a point of reference if you like that foundation. I do feel like it has a similar vibe to that. So yeah, I am quite liking this, but I feel like I need to try it without the primer, and I just need to try it a lot. And obviously like its claim is that it's very long lasting, so we'll have to see if that is the case. Okay, so back to concealer, going back to Dermacolor, and like I said earlier, I'm going to use this one under the eyes just to brighten a bit. Yeah, that definitely will brighten. Yeah, I'm just using this in the under eye area. Okay, and then I'm going to use the Delia one just over blemishes and red areas. Yeah, there's something I still find a little bit off about the texture of that Delia concealer, but it has worked okay. So moving on to powder, I have a loose powder from Dermacol. This is their invisible fixing powder, which I think just came in one shade if I remember correctly, but it looks quite pale but a bit yellowy, so I'm hoping it works and it doesn't look orangey. We'll see. But that's what the colour looks like. It looks pretty fair. Hopefully it's not orangey. Definitely looks promising. So I'm just going to tap out my creases and set my under eyes with this. The shade definitely works and it definitely brightens as well, which is great. And it seems pretty good. I feel like it's given extra coverage, it looks pretty smooth. It hasn't done anything wrong as of yet. So I think I'm going to quite like that loose powder. So I brought quite a lot of pressed powders from Dermacol as well, but obviously I can only use one today. So this one is, I think it's called the Powder Foundation. It's not actually written on here. Oh yes it is. Yeah, 2-in-1 long-lasting powder and foundation. And I got it in the lightest shade, which again I feel like that looks pretty fair. I think that should work. Yeah, Dermacol didn't have the best shade selection, but it does seem like the like base products seem quite catered for like the pale end of the spectrum. I don't know, are people just really pale in Germany? Yeah, it's definitely not a super inclusive brand. But yeah, I'm going to try this out and I'm going to just tap for this over the rest of my face to mattify everything. Okay, the colour is definitely a bit darker than the loose powder, but I do feel like it still works on my skin tone, maybe slightly darker than what I'd like, but I don't know, I feel like it looks fine though. I feel like it matches really, like, fairly well. Formula wise, it's obviously mattified well, given a little bit more coverage and looks pretty smooth. So nothing to complain about. I have some major foundation lips. Overall, I think this base looks pretty good. Everything's looking really smooth, pretty good coverage. I feel like cheek products is one of the things I've sort of struggled to find a lot of in the D category. Again, there was a lot of stuff that was like really expensive, like Dior stuff, but on the affordable end of the spectrum it was a bit harder to find some stuff. I ended up getting this Dermacol contour palette, which I'm going to use for like bronzing and contour. Well, not really contour, more bronzing, but it looks like this. I'm gonna obviously have to use this shade as bronzer. I don't know if it's gonna be too dark or what. And obviously I was hoping like this would be a highlighter, but it looks basically matte. So I don't know if that's, yeah, it's a matte. So I'm guessing that means I'd use it as like a powder. I don't know. I mean, I might just put a stripe down my nose. Just to see if it actually does anything. I mean, it's just a pale powder. I guess you could use it to add light to your face, but it's not really like a shimmery highlighter or anything. And obviously it's got a blush in it as well. So I'm gonna have to use this shade here. This one definitely looks like it'd be way too dark for me. I use like a smaller angular brush for this, and I'm gonna try and use that shade, which is, wow, super pigmented. I'm a little bit worried about this. I'm gonna just have to try and use this as a bronzer. Yeah, it's definitely like a little intense. It's probably not the best shade, but it is like workable, and I really need to blend out my nose. Yeah, I mean, it's done an alright job, but it's probably not gonna be a go-to bronze product for me. I guess it's kind of quite chiseling. It's fine. I did say earlier I was going to use this eyeshadow here to contour my nose, and I'm gonna do that. I'm just gonna get a little eyeshadow brush and just do a small contour. Dunno, might have gone a bit overboard with that. So this palette does have a blush in it. I do also have a separate blush, which is another Dermacol product. I do also have a blush from Douce, which I've had in my collection for like years now. It's the Hidden Tropics blusher, and it looks like this, but I'm not going to use that because I've had that for centuries. Well, actually, I might use the blush in the palette and use this in the second video. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'm tapping into that blush, which is also really pigmented. Jesus Christ. It's quite just like a reddy, rosy shade, and that's very intense. Hopefully it blends out. I mean, it did blend out quite nicely, so yeah. It's cute. For highlighter, I do have a new one that I'll use in the second video, but I think I'm just going to use my Broken Doll Beauty highlighter that I've had for ages. It's the Leica Diamond one. Oh god, it's so broken. Loads of it just fell out on me. Broke ages ago, and I managed to like mush it together with my fingers, but it seems to have fallen apart again. But there's still some left in it. But I may as well use some of this today. It is a really pretty highlighter. I was really annoyed when I broke it because it's so pretty. But I'm gonna use it today. It's really annoying that this is broken because it's such a pretty highlighter. I really like it. I'm gonna do a quick spray with our new setting spray. This is another Dermacol product. I know we've mostly been using Dermacol in this video. This is a long wear makeup fixing spray. It had quite good reviews, so I assume it is pretty good for like long wear, as you'd expect. I'm just gonna give it. Okay, it comes out really. I don't know why I did that on camera, like you'd be able to see it. The spray is really like direct. It's not like very misty. It's very like, I don't know the right word. I'm gonna just try anyway. Oh god. No, I don't like that spray. It's just like spraying water at your face. It's not very, it doesn't mist properly. Yeah, that mister is not good. Like, it doesn't, you can't apply it, really. So it might be a really good product, but I do have an idea of what I could do though. I could, when I finish my Colourpop one, I might like pour it into here, and hopefully it will then have the mist of this, but the formula of this. But yeah, like this might be really good, but like the mist is just kind of unusable. I am just gonna have to put a bit of my Colourpop one on. I've got a gel from Delia, which is the creamy eyebrow mascara in the brown shade. And then I've also got a brow pencil from Dermacol, which is the eyebrow micro styler. So I'm going to start with the Delia gel. And it's the one that looks like this. It's quite small, but a little thick. So I'm just going to tap off the excess product. It's got like a chocolatey brown colour. I usually prefer something a little bit cooler, but they did not have a great shade selection. But I'm going to try and brush this through my brows. It's done an alright job actually. I find the wand a little hard to use because it's so, like, it's small but it's a bit too thick and chunky. But it's done a pretty good job. But I don't think it's like a new favourite brow gel, but it's done a pretty good job. Like, the formula seems nice. It doesn't look too harsh. But we're gonna just use this brow pencil just to define them a bit more. It seems quite creamy and quite waxy, which is good. I like that. This one's quite a dark brown colour. I feel like the colour's maybe a little bit too intense, like a little bit too dark. I feel like, don't know, like the texture's nice, but I feel like maybe it's like a bit intense. I don't know, it could just be me being really bad at drawing my eyebrows on today. I've also just like plucked them before I filmed this, which might mean the shape looks a bit weird because I'm not good at it. Right, I'm gonna go back to the eyes. I think I'll use this lighter white shade in the inner corner. And I'm just gonna use some of the same matte shades I used at the top on the bottom. Gonna put some mascara on the bottom lashes and probably build it up on the top a bit as well. Okay, so moving on to lips. I've got a lipstick and a lip gloss to try out. Both Dermacol products. So I've got the matte lipstick in the 01 shade, which it looks like this. The packaging's quite pretty. And you like press it and it comes out at the bottom. Like, just I guess kind of fun. It's quite a pale sort of orangey shade. It's not my favourite shade, but I'm gonna try it on the lips and see how it looks. It's more of a warm toned nude, whereas I feel like a cooler toned nude would have worked better with this look, but oh well, I didn't think about that. So I'm gonna, ooh, it has like a sort of like scoopy kind of thing, which actually applies quite nicely. Yeah, I just don't feel like the shade is at all for me. It just doesn't complement my skin tone, or I just don't like this shade. The formula's not too bad. It applies really nicely, I'll say that. Like, I really like the applicator and the way it has this little sort of dent in it. Like, it like glides onto your lips really well. But I just don't really like the shade. The formula's okay. It's a little too moist for me. I want it like a bit more matte. But it's got good colour payoff as well, which is good, but it's just not, I'm not about the shade. I was going to layer the lip gloss over it, but I'm thinking I might just take it off and try the lip gloss on its own, because I feel like I'm going to like that as a finished look anyway. So the lip gloss is also from Dermacol, and it's the, I'm assuming that's fucking high shine, because I'm not sure what else those stars would be. I mean, I can say the word fucking on my channel because it's not like I make money off this stuff anyway. But yeah, it's the fucking high shine lip gloss, I'm assuming. It's the 02 shade, which looks really pretty. And it's got that sort of doe foot. So let's give this a try. It looks like the sort of gloss I'll like. It smells quite... I've never smelled a gloss like that, but it's quite nice to smell. It feels really hydrating. It's a bit like, it's not sticky, but it's like quite a heavy gloss. Like, it's not a lightweight gloss, but it's not sticky at the same time. It feels more like sort of like a lip balm. It's got that sort of like a heavier lip balm kind of vibe to it. It smells gorgeous. It looks pretty, I think it looks pretty nice. I mean, it just kind of looks like a nude gloss, really. It's not really got like a super strong like colour pigment behind it, but that's not really super essential for me. Okay, so I think we've tried everything for today. So I'm just gonna sort my hair out, clean up my mascara mess, and I would put some more of this setting spray on, but I don't like it. It's too aggressive. Okay, we are back with the finished look. It's all come together pretty well, I think. Definitely tried some good products today, some questionable ones too. To run through them all, I definitely really enjoyed the eyeshadow palette. I thought that was really good. The eyeliner and the waterline was pretty. The mascara is okay, as you can see. It has given great length, but it's just not volumizing enough for me, but it's done a decent job. I mean, if you can see my eyelashes, they're noticeable, so that's something. I'm not sure about the primer, but the foundation I actually quite enjoyed. The concealers, I like both of the concealers. I think I like the Dermacolor one a little bit more. The Delia one is decent for the price, but I'm not like in love with it. I think that loose setting powder is probably one of the favourite things I tried today because the colour worked really well and it just did a really good job at setting under there. The pressed one was also pretty good. The colour is just maybe like a tiny bit darker than I expected, but it still did a good job. Can't make my mind up about the brows. I feel like there's just something, I think it's like the colour of both of them is just a little bit off, but I feel like the formula of both of them was good. Just the colours that I think's throwing me off a bit. Cheek products were decent, again, a little bit intense, that palette for me, just a little bit too intense, like the colour payoff and the shades. But I did feel like it kind of came together in the end. And I didn't really like the lipstick, but the lip gloss is pretty nice. And this setting spray, it's just got one of the worst misters I've ever seen, but I do want to try the actual like water in it in a different thing just to see if it is good. Overall though, we tried some good products. In the next video, we have a lot of Diego de la Palma. I've got a Dior foundation. I've also got a few things from Delia, which is a brand I completely forgot to mention at the start of the video. I have like some eyebrow products from them. But yeah, this is today's full face of D makeup brands. So thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.